Welcome to On the Mic with Shaz. This is our special series, Women in Tech Leadership, The Upsides. I'm your host, Shaz. Let's jump in. Today, I'm joined by Nevash Pillay, who's here to share her honest take on the upsides of stepping into bigger roles, from the impact she's been able to make to the incredible moments that remind her exactly why she pushed through. Welcome, Nevash.
Good morning, Shaz. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listeners, Nevash is a global technology leader with over 20 years of experience in communications and technology. She partners with telecoms worldwide to harness data and AI, turning challenges into opportunities for growth and innovation. She currently travels between Sydney and New York for her current role as global head of communications of the communications industry for Databricks. I'm keen to unpack your incredible story and journey, Nevash. First, because I know you quite well, let's give our listeners an insight into you personally.
Sure.
If we peeked at your calendar this week, what's one thing on it that makes you excited?
I'm home in Sydney. So I accepted a role in New York, a year ago. And of course, I've not been home for almost 11 weeks. So in my diary this week, I am catching up with clients, but I feel like I'm catching up with friends. There's some great insights I want to share. And of course, being home with my daughters, that's just such a highlight, just hanging out together, watching TV and taking a walk. So these are some of the things that light up my week.
Love it. That's when you know when you've landed where you're meant to be, when you're like, I'm catching up with my clients, but they're like my friends. Isn't that just such a sign?
It is. It kind of just like there's something about coming back home. So, yes, there's something in it and it just feels more relaxed. And yes, I'm very excited to share and learn together.
Fantastic. And if your leadership style was a tech gadget, what would it be and why?
I think it will be a neural network chip or something. I think it's going to take diverse inputs and process them and
Love
like
it.
connect the dots and then come up with the right outputs that's going to impact a customer.
Fabulous. I love
Like
that.
a processing chip.
Yeah. I love it. Awesome. Let's start talking about your leadership journey then. You know, you went from graduate to executive level at Telstra. So what was it that first excited you about stepping into a leadership role in tech? Was there an aha moment for you that you were like, this is for me?
I think there were many little moments. So there wasn't one massive moment, but there were several things. I grew up in South Africa and I had an incredible grandma. And she was just such a fantastic role model. She was an amazing leader. She had the ability to lift people, to coach. She had 27 grandchildren, by the way.
Whoa.
So I guess early in
Oh,
my
grandma.
life, I saw what great leadership was. And it was done with kindness. And I was so fortunate when I started as a grad at Telstra. I was drawn to some of the best leaders I have ever come across. So many of them are still my friends, and I would always stay in touch because I'm so grateful. And I saw them in action. I was so much younger, and I watched them on stage, and I watched them on how they drove strategy, how they took people on the journey. And there was something in my belly that made me feel like I want to be with them. I want to be like them. I want to learn from them. And I want to make an impact because they all made an impact. And so very early on, I volunteered to do more with them and just be around them. And that's something I'm so grateful for because it shaped my passion to be a leader. And I think if there was a bigger moment, my two children were probably 3 years and like 2 months. Chloe was 2 months, Sky was 3 years old when I had the opportunity to work for David Thodey, who later became CEO of Telstra, and I had the opportunity to work for him as an executive advisor, chief of staff.
Nice.
And to me, that again had me in the middle of all these discussions in the boardroom with some of these amazing leaders, but also in the heart of strategy and in the heart of revenue growth and how great people did it. And there were challenges, and I saw how they addressed challenges, and it was ambiguous and it was exciting. And I think at that moment for me, it wasn't just seeing what was happening, it was observing how it was happening. I kind of just knew and felt that I would love to do it. So that kind of shaped what excited me to be a leader. And I would always say, surround yourself with great people and great leaders. You learn so much from them. And my dad's also been an incredible cheer person in my life. And so I think it's always what you do it really well. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to share that you really admire someone for something and you'd like to learn a little bit more from them. So it's probably a combination of those things that excited me.
Awesome. And there's one thing that you said before, which I love. Actually, it's two things that you have said that really sum it up. Leadership is less about a title and more about the energy and belief you create in others. And I find that so powerful, Nevash. And the other thing that you have said before is sometimes the best growth comes when you're thrown into rooms you don't feel ready for. And I think that's an important message as well.
Totally, totally. Energy is like super, super critical. And like leadership, what makes you a great leader? And when things go wrong, you step forward. When things are great, you step back and you let everyone else lift themselves and you share that stage. And it's not about you, it's about your team. I've learned the most, or I've grown the most when I have been out of my comfort zone, when I thought I'm not ready for it in some stages. But you learn so much when you put yourself out there, give yourself a chance. And in my experience, like, we're all so different. And I think the one thing that I also try to share with my daughters is give yourself a chance. When you're out of that comfort zone, don't shy away, just go a bit forward. And what's the worst thing that could happen? And, surround yourself with people where you can talk about these things, because most people want to help you succeed.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you mentioned earlier as well about your mentors, like your leaders starting off in your career were your mentors and they influence you to want to become that leader, which is the exact reason why I've created this podcast, because I want other women in tech to realize it's more achievable and more in reach than they could imagine. They don't have to be ready. They just have to make the decision that I want to step up. I want to change things from the inside of an organization. I want us all to collaborate and work well. And I'm going to do that from within by becoming that leader and be intentional and go for it. I love that you mentioned that, because it's super important that we have that influence and that these women in tech can see through you, through all the leaders and women in tech leadership roles throughout Australia, that it's so possible and it's fun and you've great influence and cool things can happen. And look what your mentors and leaders did for you. They paid it forward that you decided, I want to go on this path. So can you imagine now you're doing that right now again through this episode? Just an FYI for you.
Leadership is so much about lifting each other. It's absolutely that. And everybody wants different things in life. But if you want to be a leader in tech, make it happen. Reach out to people, surround yourself with people you admire, read about them. I've not always had the opportunity to be sitting in a room or talking to people I've admired, but I still read about them. There are probably 10 people on my list right now that I'm reading about, learning from, and there are numerous ways. And I think the other thing I've learned is that many women in particular feel that you have got to have some massive STEM qualification, or you have to have a PhD or a master's in some tech specialization or area. And look, technology actually comes to life with people. The most amazing innovations happen because they have a positive impact on someone's life. But you need people to take that tech and to take it out and tell a story to a business or an individual on how they can bring that tech to life. So even if you've not studied STEM or anything like that, and you have this desire to be a leader in tech, you can still make it happen, because it was only probably 5 years ago that I did study on data and AI in particular. I went back to university and I did a course, but I've been a leader in tech for a long time. So I guess my learning has always been like, be curious, read about it. You could have a goal, but put together your execution plan on how to bring it to life. And I think especially these days, there are so many ways you can connect with people, whether it's on Zoom, they could be in a different country. There are so many incredible things you can learn and read that's available to you. You can learn from some of the best leaders without even leaving your home. And I think make the most of all of those things, because it is definitely possible. And technology needs incredible people,
Yes.
incredible women to bring this to life, and you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tech is more than just tech, isn't it? It changes the world. I know that you're super passionate about what it can do for the health sector, for just making impact in that sense of things, like picking up things before you even know it yourself. And I think that's the power of it. Can I just ask you, what's one incredible benefit of being in tech leadership that you think more women need to hear?
When you open yourself up to learning about tech, you will recognize that you could apply it in so many different ways. I love my job and working with companies to help them use data and AI to make things better for customers. So I'll give you a couple of examples. I lead the telco industry at Databricks. And one of my key clients is AT&T in the US. And as you know, fraud is a big issue. Online fraud is a massive issue that's costing the world not only billions of dollars, but when it impacts you as a human, as a customer, you feel so invaded.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like you just feel terrible. So for me, what I love about the tech that I work with now is that you could use your data together with machine learning models to see these patterns. You know, at AT&T, they have reduced fraud by 80% by
Wow.
stopping, the bad actors from defrauding or hijacking your device. Because typically what happens is when a person wants to steal your identity or hijack your device, they would call a call center many times and pretend to be you.
Yeah.
And they could be calling over a 20-minute period from 4 different locations around the world. But now what AT&T is doing is they're using AI models to say, well, hey, you called 10 minutes ago from the US, and now the same person has pretended to be me, and they're calling from the Philippines. How could they have traveled 10 minutes in 10 minutes? These are the things, because when you have
Yeah.
petabytes of data each minute accumulating in organizations, it's not humanly possible to pick up these patterns. So
Yeah.
what I love about data and AI is that when it's protected and you have the right guardrails, you could actually create a massive benefit to humanity. And in the same regard, it's a really interesting question, because all of us, and I know you do very clearly, you have a passion, you have a job, but there's always something that you want to change in the world. Whether we're an individual contributor or a leader in business, we're passionate about something that we
Yeah.
know we
Yeah.
would love to make better. And one thing that I would love to make better is health equity. And I truly believe by learning about the technology that I'm learning about today, I would love to take this and apply it to health. Like imagine if we had the best surgeons and doctors in the world, if we had them share data, not personal data about customers, but structured data, unstructured data. And we pooled all of that data, and we knew, like for certain types of cancers, for example, what were the best methods that resolved or cured patients or got them back as fast as possible. What if we could discover that by pooling all this data together? Like with AT&T, get all your data together, you see the patterns. And once we know the best ways to solve these issues, what if we were to share it, not just with leading hospitals, but with those countries where they don't have as many hospitals? If we shared it with
Absolutely.
nurses. So these are the things that I think when you're in tech, it's not just doing your job. You could think about how you could apply the tech You could start your own business. You could look at the number of startups that women are engaged in today. Look at the VCs supporting women in tech these days. So I think the exciting thing is whatever your passion is, you can take these learnings and you can apply it to things to make the world better. I see this not just about making business better or businesses better, but how do we take all these learnings and it gives you the foundation to really make a better world also.
That's powerful. There's a lot of messages in there, particularly when you said about AT&T and the fraud, because you do feel violated. You do feel like someone has tapped into your world. And the fact that you can have your AI and data working for you to prevent that already is just out of this world. And it's powerful and it's empowering. It gives us back this sense of, we got this and we can make this better to navigate our health, because I would say I have so many gut issues and allergies, and I'm sure there's a collation of information as to why all these allergies and my gut problems are happening. But right now it's all disconnected in my life, so I'm trying to figure it out disconnected, right? So like you said, Nevash, if there was a way we could get access to that information from doctors or specialists, one thing is probably causing all of it.
If you went to your medical center and shared this challenge, and there was an access point where the last 1,000 people in the world who had exactly what you have, based on your blood type, and, you understood how they resolved it in the most viable way. I mean, it may take out some of the trial and error. I'm not oversimplifying it, but this is one insight that could help. And it's something that I'd love to be part of. If I could help one person in the world, like if the story inspires one person who's listening, it's worth the while. I would just say, when you are in a space and you're passionate about it, you will find ways to apply it that will make things better than they are today. And yeah, it's fun too.
Whether you're in an organization, whether you're running your own business, in the tech space, you have your own product, when you're passionate about it, you're going to be 85% more engaged in what you're doing. And because you're 85% more engaged in what you're doing, it means you're aligned with your passion, you're aligned with your values, and you're giving off this aura and energy that now people around you are feeling as well. And then you're paying it forward, right?
Jazz, I would also encourage, I'm learning about data, or we call it data and AI. It's now with me in the US. Everyone says data. I am still like data. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what I say. What do I say? Data. I say data and analytics. Data. Yeah.
And now, of course, based in the US, and I say data. But I'm still learning, and I'm happy to share future sessions or whatever we do more about what I'm learning. But so much of the future, like we now, since we've had iPhones and we're using our laptops so much more, there's an accumulation of so much more data. And you can see patterns out of this. And AI only works well if your data is clean and organized and secure. And, so lean in and learn a bit more about it. You don't have to be a data scientist. I am not one. I work with some of the smartest data scientists and I'm learning every day. But lean into some of these new techs and the impact they can have, and start considering like what it could mean for you. And I always think knowledge also, even if it's unstructured in your own way, is going to equip you with better insights to think about your career in tech.
Absolutely. You know what? It's interesting you say that, and I completely agree with you, because when I was back in my technical recruitment career, and I'm not saying all recruitment is the same, but certainly some of my experiences, we were trained very transactional. What's your salary? What's your job title? What's your availability? Thanks, bye. Right? It was very transactional, very foot soldier in how we were taught to deal with people's careers. For me, it showed up in a different way for me. Like I developed a curiosity, and I'm helping people with their careers here. I don't take this lightly. I really want to make sure I'm doing this properly. So I took a real curiosity around it. And everybody I spoke to, I studied their tech stack. I studied what they did. I studied what the the products that their company were working on. And I got all of the knowledge. And then I did that with the next person. And then with the organizations I was working with, I did the exact same thing. And suddenly I'd accumulated all this information and knowledge. And what people used to hate working on in the recruitment world, they call them the unicorn roles, which is when organizations would give you roles they just could not fill because they were unicorn roles. I would get these and fill them because I could find the right person based on all the knowledge I'd accumulated that had the transferable skills to go into that role. And that person wouldn't realize it. The organization wouldn't realize it. They'd have a chat and they'd go, oh, I see where you're going here. So knowledge is power. That curiosity is power. And it takes you from just being average in what you do to using your passion, curiosity, all of that, looking at it differently, because people around me were just calling people on the phone and just being transactional and just hated what they were doing. But I found a way to enjoy it and love it and then go on this journey with these people and help them get the right career. And that is why, like, when you have that passion and that curiosity, it makes wherever you are that much easier and more enjoyable.
I agree totally. And as you're saying, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
It gives you more confidence. And it's more fun when you actually understand it. And the thing that I'm also inspired by more so today is that you can get a lot of free learnings. Like, even if you want to learn about data and AI, you can go to Databricks.com and do a course. And most tech companies actually give you that opportunity to learn. Even in LinkedIn, there's a lot of free LinkedIn learning. So
Yeah.
sometimes even allocating, and I'm still learning, and I find like just allocating 2 hours a week or blocking it out on a Friday afternoon when I know things are a bit quieter or early in the morning just gives you more insights to make more informed decisions. And again, when you're having that next conversation, whether it's in a job interview or just in conversation, most of the roles I have been in have come through people that I met along the way. And so you don't know when you're going to meet an interesting person and have an interesting conversation. And I feel if tech is what interests you, lean in and keep learning. And that in itself will give you a bit more confidence together with finding a mentor, etc. But I think we have incredible options to learn more these days than ever before.
Absolutely. And I agree with that because I don't have a degree. And people often say to me, how did you get to where you are? How do you do this? Pure curiosity, knowledge. I've obviously now studied because I do leadership coaching and development. And I've studied all around that, the psychological, the neurological, because again, I want to be able to deliver to help people transform in their career, reach goals they didn't think were achievable, get rid of those limiting beliefs and daily habits that we have that niggle at us, that hinder us from either entering a leadership journey or enjoying the leadership journey.
And like it's always, you want to always back yourself. Everyone's got incredible strengths. There was a long time for me also. I led one of Telstra's first cloud teams, the IoT team, the cybersecurity team. I actually didn't know a lot about all that tech at the time I started leading those teams. And there were times where I felt, oh my gosh, everybody's so smart. Now, you always want to be surrounded by smart people. It doesn't matter if they're working with you or for you because you learn so much. But in recent times, I've also realized that there are some strengths I have that pure technical teams may not have. So I think that's the amazing thing about life is that I'm sure every person on this call will also have their strengths. And for me, my strength is not in the data science, but my strength is the first question you asked. I would sit down with a client, understand their challenges, understand a lot of the challenges in the industry that I lead, and then synthesize it to what data and AI can actually do to help them achieve their outcomes faster. So there's no data science in that, but that is a skill outside of pure tech. You're connecting these dots and delivering the value in a non-technical way, because often people that I'm talking to, some of them are technical and many of them, a lot of the decision makers are not necessarily technical. But if you can articulate the value this can drive and how it's going to help them accelerate their business success, that's what they need to know. So it doesn't matter what your skill set is, and you've just shared yours, find your strength. And if you want to work in tech, and you could do the same or something different in a business in tech, don't assume that you just have to be that STEM or that data scientist to do this. You can successfully have a career because, as I said, technology is most valuable when you can articulate the outcome and the impact it's going to have on humanity.
Yeah. High five. I'm high fiving for anyone who's not watching this. I'm high fiving. So, talk to me, Nevash. Then, many women from diverse backgrounds worry about fitting in. Okay. Was there a point where you stopped trying to fit in and leaned into your difference?
Totally. I became a leader when I was very young. I was in my mid-20s and I was leading a team of 250 people.
Wowza.
And I was so grateful and I was so excited for that
Yeah,
opportunity.
yeah.
But unfortunately, not everyone's going to be happy for you or with you and want to go on the journey. And I guess there's a few ways I'd like to answer this. I guess being a female in an industry that had a lot of male engineers, that was one challenge. But I felt that I always went back to my values and being a good team player and always being kind. You can never control how people or what people think about you or whether they like you or not. But you can always control how you show up.
Absolutely.
My learning in that has always been, even if someone doesn't like you, still be kind. And when you lead a team, it's a team sport. You want to take everyone on that journey. The second thing is that for a long time, I had amazing people give me lots of advice about speak up sooner or don't be so optimistic, or in a good way, feedback is a beautiful gift. But for me, for a while, I was very confused because it was like I was chasing to be this person that everybody wanted me to be. And in the same breath, it was taking me away from my authentic self. And it becomes confusing because I wasn't an experienced leader and I'm still learning. So you rely on how others give you feedback and input. But I just felt that I was considering everything and trying these different things, and some things worked and some things didn't, and some things were taking me further away from being who I am.
Yeah.
And that wasn't fun either. And it just felt like hard work. And then probably I've been a leader for over 20 years. I think it must have been 8 to 10 years ago. Telstra sent me to a course or a program at Harvard. And I think there was so much of reflection I did. I was a mom of 2 girls that were a bit older, and I just felt, I know I'm different to many people that I work with, but I know who I am now. And that changes a little bit, but I had a lot of time to think about that. And sometimes people ask you deep questions when you're learning, and it scares you. And I just hit a point where I thought, I know who I am, and I'm not going to get everyone to like me forever, but I know what it means, and I switched gears a little bit. Now, it didn't change. Like, my values have always been my values, and I've worked for companies whose values have always been aligned. That's the one thing I've always looked at in companies I've worked for. I would not work in a business where I felt there was a difference in values. But I would always say, know who you are, take the feedback, it's a gift. But be your authentic self. It's so much easier. And I have made mistakes. I have reflected on it and I've lifted myself up too. And who hasn't? And the other big reflection I have is that there was probably a period in time where I thought as a leader I should know all the answers. And I would try and figure it all out myself. And I learned very quickly that talking about it also is a really good thing. You can learn so much from so many people. And even if I look at the most recent change I made, I love the company I work for, and I have never felt more aligned with purpose. And it's been an incredible, incredible opportunity for me to work at Databricks with some of the smartest people, the kindest people. But gee, moving from Sydney to New York with my family here has been a change I underestimated.
Yeah, yeah.
For 22 years, I walked into this door of my home and the first word I heard was mum. And that's
Oh,
a big part of who I am.
oh,
And now I walk into a home and it's silent. And
oh.
we made this decision as a family also. And the girls are older, they're 22 and 20. And they are visiting me. But I just learned, like, I have been so vulnerable. I've had so many tears. But talking to people about it, even people I don't know so well, like, people support you.
Yes.
And there is a whole world of people who have supported you. And I've been in New York now. This is 9 months. I have met some incredible people who I know will be my forever friends. And so as you evolve in this world of leadership and tech, and things are never the same, it's not a linear thing. There'll be ups,
Oh, yeah.
but have a support group and have an open mind. And I think for me, even today, like my learnings in the last 9 months have been incredible, even for me personally. And I would not be able to do that without an incredible group of people who I probably didn't even know 9 months ago. Just being around supportive people who lift you and are there for you when you have those moments where you need someone.
Absolutely. Look, and I can so relate to that because my circle of people around me now, all I feel is joy when I walk away from them. And for a long time, I didn't have that. I worked in traditionally male dominant environments. There were moments where, like you, I lost myself and my values through what was said to me on the daily basis. And then I had moments where I changed my own environment. And then I realized in some instances, I tapped into this part of me because I did this early in my career when I was back building computers when I started out my career. I did this again. I tapped into that younger version in my 20s where I changed the environment just by one move, one decision. And then other women followed me. So I back to that girl and I decided I'm doing this again here because hang on, I've got some biases here. I'm carrying some stuff. I've got some walls up. So I let it down and it changed the environment. Now there's times when I did this and it didn't change, and that's okay because then I decided, all right, you're not for me, I'm out. See ya. So it's about that decision and having the awareness of I don't need to be stuck here. Like nothing is linear. You don't have to stay somewhere that in your gut is telling you this is not right for me. I'm not sleeping. I'm constantly sick. I'm constantly worried. I'm constantly stressed. I've got news for you, listeners. This is not how you're meant to live. You don't need to live that way. That's your gut telling you this may not be the right environment and that you may need to leave. Or it may be your gut telling you that there's some tweaks and changes you can make to shift it a little bit as well. It's not saying that we're the problem because I was never the problem, but I did have my biases too. And so did they. They let down their walls, they let down their biases, I let down my biases, I let down my walls. And then we worked collaboratively and focused on the mission, which was to get some outcomes and deliverables. And when we focused on that, it was like, oh wow, we're all high performing now. Look at that.
Also true. And look, I would briefly say I have not made the right decisions on a few occasions or many occasions. And I am the first to say, well, that was probably not my best. Or I'm, sorry if it happened in this way. We're not perfect. But I would also say I have had so much of support from incredible women and men. But to me, the important thing is being around people that will lift you, people that will back you. And sometimes also I've been in situations where I have just not had the right outcome or I have not felt that way. And there were times where I thought, gosh, this feels so personal. I
Yeah.
don't feel like I'm getting the support. My leader may be trying to undo the work that we've
Yeah.
done for years. That happens too, right?
Yep.
But one season of that doesn't mean that you quit either. But if you feel that your health is impacted or it's not the right space, you want to be around people who are going to lift you and back you. And to me, I have succeeded most in environments where I can openly say to my boss, I've made a mistake, and know that they're going to back me up, or to acknowledge it myself. Accountability is an important thing also.
Yes.
So I
Yep.
think it's a balance of all of those things.
Yeah, balance. That's a good word for it all. And it's important how you said, accept that support, accept that mentorship, accept these things that will guide you. You don't have to do all by ourselves. And I think I didn't know in my career, I certainly didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know that I was conforming. So now I've become the go-to person that I once wanted in my career. And I've become that for women in tech, which is my biggest reward. And I would go through all that pain, all those challenges all over again, just to know that I'm here and I get it and I can help and be that support any day of the week. That's a great reason for me to get up in the morning and be like, let's go.
That sounds incredible. I would give you the high five now.
Thank you. Thank you. Listeners, if you're not watching, that was Nevash giving me an air high five now. That was nice. Thank you. So tell me then, has there been a moment where someone told you that seeing you lead made me believe I could too?
That's probably one of the most humbling things anyone could say to you,
Oh, yeah.
a leader or otherwise. I remember in my first leadership role, I was trying to build a team, and there was a person who was allocated to work with me. And I got the impression that a few others may have closed the book. And of course, I was new, and I did not have any bias. And I learned so much through the process, because if you are a leader and you're listening, I'm sure you would agree too that when you actually listen and you engage and you collaborate, I mean, at the end of the day, equality and equity, these are values that are really important to any person, whether you're a leader. And leadership doesn't always mean that you have a priority position or a better position.
Yeah.
As an individual contributor, you have a very important leadership role too, because you've got to always influence others. And for me, it was an incredible 6 or 7 months with this person, and just watching them evolve, lifting them, sharing the stage, having them engage in strategy. And it actually wasn't even the person telling me that you have helped me see things differently and given me the confidence to be a leader. It was actually hearing it from many of my peers. Gosh, have you seen the transformation? Can you see the eyes and the expression? And this person is like, we've not seen that. And to me, even if it didn't come from him, it came from so many other people first. And yes, when you lift someone else, when you make someone else happy, you feel happy. In recent years, it's been more from people I don't even know. And that's also been very humbling. It could be from somebody who's watched something on YouTube, or you're speaking at an event, or you get an email and someone says, I've watched you and I've learned something. And my family were migrants, just like your family was. And you've really inspired me to think that I could do this too. And would you mind if I had like half hour with you? And I feel just as excited too, like for someone to think,
Yeah. Oh
like,
my
gosh, do you
goodness.
really think that I could help you? If I can, of course, I would love to. I see that sometimes from some of my children's friends who come over, and it's very humbling. And yeah, I'm just humbled. And I don't always see it that way, because we're always beavering with lots of things. But if I could help just one person, then it makes it all worthwhile.
I love it. And I can relate to what they see in you, because I met you many, many years ago now. My goodness, actually, it's been a while, hasn't it? And your aura is just undeniable. It's infectious. I just want to be around you all the time. It's because you have a real care factor. You really have this purpose, and it's for your two girls as well. You want them to see this. You want them to understand there's more to life, and that you can do things bigger than yourself that make an impact, that can change people, that can really take them from this really safe, very sure, very careful way of living to bursting through, leaning in and going, I'm courageous, I'm curious, I see things from, different perspective, and I'm going for this. And I think that to me is the most, you're just a beautiful person inside and out, because being surrounded by you, obviously we share the same passion, but you energize me even more again.
That is so kind. Look, I am so grateful to all of those leaders, like Steph Carello. Oh my God, she's so amazing. Nerida Caesar that I worked with, I learned so much from her. Christine Holgate, David Thodey, John Pederides. Gosh,
Shout out.
goes on. Like all of them, they're just like Mike Foster.
Shout out to all these
All
influential
of these
people in
people.
Navash's life.
Beautiful. And I would say exactly the same for all of them, yourself included. Being a mom is a little bit different. I'm sure if you had the conversation with my kids, like they see the very version of me also, because being a mom is you're the disciplinarian, you're trying to help them learn. They see you as something very different. But I must say now, and even yesterday, my daughter has just started her first job as a graduate. And sometimes she would say to me, Mom, all these other people know so much. And I just say, so what? They've been working in these jobs a long time. You've got to give yourself a chance. And just this morning, I was brushing my teeth and she was there and I said, okay, right, here are some of the ways you can actually now learn more. I said, the first thing is have a look at your annual report. The results were announced. What do you make of it? The second thing is, if you're in banking, who are the top 10 banking leaders in the world really changing the space? Go there and follow them on LinkedIn, listen to some of their
Wow.
podcasts, listen to YouTube. And I said, the third thing is think about what you can bring to this. You want to learn what's happening in this company. You want to learn what's happening outside the company. Think about two people you admire and ask them if they'd mentor you. And if you make a mistake, be the first to say that and ask questions. And there's no silly question. And remember, diversity is your superpower. And some people have a personality where they're going to come in as overconfident, and some people are going to come in as moderately confident, and some people are going to come in as very shy. But it doesn't mean that one is smarter or better than the other.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We all come with this different background and never feel that the other person's better than you. We're all different, but that difference is what makes great teams. And when I mobilize a great team, I don't look for everybody who's the same. You want all the difference because that's when you get the best outcome. And that's when you know you've got all the bases covered. It's like playing sport. If everybody was in one part of that netball court, you're not going to equip
Nothing will
yourself.
happen. Yeah.
All have the same skill. And they were all there to put the ball into the goalpost. And that's the only skill they had. Well, guess what? You're never going to get the ball to the goalpost to get the person to put it in. And so I would encourage everyone, if there's something that inspires you that I've said, give it a go, because ultimately it comes down to you and what you want. And the one thing I learned very young, my parents moved from South Africa to Australia, and primarily to give my brother, sister, and I a better opportunity. And that's a beautiful gift that my dad gave us. And I've always felt I want to make the most of it. Some people may not like me, may not see me as a good leader, may not think I have potential. But on balance, most people want to help you succeed. And if you could share that and willing to accept that you're not going to be perfect and say sorry and acknowledge your errors and keep learning and be a good team member and continue to collaborate and find good mentors.
Yay.
Along the way, it's going to change. And there are just so many people out there also that want to help.
And when you're going into that meeting, I visualize a meeting. And when you're in that meeting, remember, before you go in there, spend time with yourself and lock into what are my strengths? What's my expertise? What do I bring to the table? And when I walk into this room, I want to be inspired by who's around me and learn from what they say, what they do, and have a curiosity and listen to their perspectives rather than compare myself and attack myself. So ground yourself before you go into that meeting and decide, I'm going to be super kind to myself because these are my strengths. This is my expertise. There are other people's expertise and strengths and knowledge in the room. that will collaborate really well and bond with my expertise and knowledge. And if not, I can just ask them questions, be curious, get to understand it. So the next time I come back, I'm a little bit more understanding of their perspective and how their brain operates, because we operate sometimes with right brains, left brains. So I notice they work with the left brain, so they love numbers. So I'm going to come back next time with the numbers. Or I notice they're a bit more creative. They work with their right brain. So I'm going to come back, with a bit more innovation and a bit more visionary for the business. So that kind of vibe, that's how you rock up to that meeting. No comparison and no attacking yourself, please, listeners.
Difference is not a weakness. It's actually your advantage.
It's beautiful.
In many meetings where I haven't said anything and I just listened. And maybe it's different to others, but I have also used that. It's been my advantage. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah. And was there ever a time you nearly talked yourself out of leadership? Like what changed your mind?
Totally. I think when I had the girls, it was very difficult to leave them, and and not everything is very straightforward. We had some complications with one for a little bit. It just felt very hard to go back to work, and I was very fortunate. I had a leader who gave me a lot of flexibility, and I went back a few days, and I had some great support at home. My mom, my mother-in-law, they helped me, tremendously, which I'm very grateful for. And then, I had, I only once in my career, I worked for a leader where I just felt we were so misaligned. And when things felt personal, I just, took a moment, I paused, I thought about things. I thought, gosh, what is it that I need to change? What is it that I can do differently? And sometimes you can try your best and it just is not going to work, right? And then you just try and figure out, okay, look, I feel like I'm losing my sparkle. I've got this incredible team and I don't want them to feel that. And,
Yeah.
and I knew also there was only one time in my entire career where I felt it was best for me to move on to something else. And seriously, that was not a bad thing either, because,
And that's perfectly okay.
and that was actually one of the best decisions I ever made, because before that, it was always someone approaching me about the next job. And this was the first time I actually put myself out there. So out of every situation, whether it's positive or negative, there is some joy ahead. And not everything has been easy with me either. Like, I can assure you, being a mum of two girls, my parents moved to Australia when I was 15. Even going to university, I was still here for a very short amount of time. I got married when I was very young, which has had some great benefits, but you grow up together. All of the challenges that I'm sure every one of us faces, I've had exactly the same. So just be kind to yourself. Some of my views were surround yourself with people that are going to lift you. If you want a leadership role in tech, say that you do. You'd be amazed how many people will help you. Be with people that are positive. You could find as many negative people you find, you're going to find as many positive people.
Yeah.
Get a coach. Sometimes you need a coach. Sometimes when you need a bit of help, get a little bit of help. And never lose belief in what you want. And don't just build better businesses, build a better world too. And lean into tech, because it is changing how we work, what options we have. And I feel that knowledge for all of us is really important. Lean into it, learn what's happening, formally or informally, because all that together will enable us as a community to support each other more and continue to strive for those goals.
Yay! Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Nevash, for being here and for your honesty. And to you listening, I hope this episode gives you the little nudge you need to start pitching yourself in these leadership roles. Remember, these roles are not out of reach. If today's chat sparked something for you, pass it on. Let's get more women seeing what's possible. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming up next. Until then, keep challenging the status quo and be the change you want to see. Thank you again, Nevash.
Thank you so much for having me. And I wish everyone all the best. And if I could ever help in any way, I would.
Nevash has got your back, everybody. Catch you next time on the Mic with Shaz. See you then.